Hi everyone, welcome back to ATRE. This is the second part of the Black Capital case where I'll be building out the debt assumptions, including the refinance toggle. Now, to make the refinance toggle will be pretty complicated, so I'm going to go slow and try to explain things as best I can. In effect, what I'm building out is the ability to compare the effect that refinancing will have on the investment and ensure that there aren't return metrics being calculated for scenarios that are not active. The other thing you might notice is that I moved all of the cash flows downwards, but kept the analysis skeleton and the unlevered cash flows at the top. That's for two reasons. First, it will make it a lot easier to record, considering I won't have to be running around the entire worksheet. And second, I think the focus of this model is the partnership returns and the analysis of our debt assumptions. As a reminder, when I'm analyzing the refinance decision, the model I'm building should either pay down the acquisition loan and take on new debt, in the case of a refinance, or keep the acquisition loan and pay it down at the end of the term. In any case, I'll start out here by building out the acquisition loan. For loan proceeds, that's the purchase price multiplied by the LTV. And the mortgage recording tax is a percentage of the loan proceeds. Now, debt service for the acquisition loan will depend on our refinance decision. In the case of a refinance, or when cell 31 reads yes, the Boolean constrains debt service to the first 38 months. Further down in the model, the new loan's debt service will start the next month. In the case that we are not refinancing, or when C31 reads no, our debt service terminates at the end of the loan term, in this case the end of the analysis period. And because these are IO loans, I can just divide the interest rate by 12 to calculate the monthly debt service. Let's see that refinance toggle in action. When refinance is set to yes, debt service ends the same month as the refinance month. But when I switch it to no, debt service continues out until the end of analysis. Balloon payment is going to use the same structure. The only difference is that I'll use an equal instead of a less than for the Boolean, and then remove the interest component so it just pulls the beginning balance of the loan. For levered cash flows with the acquisition loan, I sum the debt inputs and the unlevered cash flows. Pretty standard. For the levered IRR, I only want to display the acquisition IRR if we're not selecting the refinance option. Or else, the model could be confusing if there are returns which appear on the model but that are not actively being used. Of course, this is just my personal preference. I'm going to use that same if statement strategy for the refinance component. For all of my labels, they will only appear if the refinance component is set to yes. Again, this is just personal preference, but I think the model looks a lot cleaner this way. Loan proceeds is calculated when our month is the same as the refinance month, and is calculated by taking the forward 12 months NOI and applying the refinance cap rate. Debt service is calculated by multiplying the monthly interest rate and multiplying that rate by the loan balance. Now I use an offset function because the loan balance for refinance could change depending on our refinance month input. And since I want the model to be fully dynamic, the offset function will find the refinance loan balance regardless of the month. Now, debt service for refinance begins the month after refinance. If I wanted to be more accurate, I would select the exact refinance day and prorate the debt service accordingly. Say with 2 weeks of refinance debt service and 2 weeks of acquisition debt service. But I think that assuming that we are refinancing on the last day of the month is fine for a case study. And just as I did for the acquisition loan balance, I'll modify the debt service equation, removing the interest component and using the Boolean to pay off the loan at the end of analysis. I forgot to add a negative sign to the offset function, so I fix that quickly here. To wrap up the refinance loan, I sum up the refinance cash flows and the acquisition loan cash flows, but only when the refinance toggle is active. And finally, I borrow the IRR format used for the acquisition loan to calculate the IRR for the refinance loan. And that's part 2 of the black capital case. In the next video, I'll build out the equity waterfall and sensitize the investment. Thanks for watching.